Hello Math 1720 students. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a break-even chart for totals using Desmos. The first step is to go to desmos.com/calculator. Once you get there, we're going to take a different approach to creating the break-even chart because we do not have unit information for the financial performance data that's given to you for your industry statistics. So for example, for my industry code 7223, I have total revenue, I have total variable costs, and I have total fixed costs, but I do not have those amounts per unit. So instead of writing out the total revenue and total cost equations, I'm actually going to create a table of values. So first, I'm just going to insert a note that I'm going to do the total revenue information first. And for that total revenue, I am going to insert a table. You can call the values X and Y. That's what we're plotting, our X and Y values. And total revenue is always going to start at 0, 0, because when you sell 0 units, you're always going to consistently make $0. Then for the second point, you're going to put in the total revenue for your specific business. Please use the whole industry value. So for my code, the total revenue is 252.8. That is in thousands of dollars, but if you want to simplify and not write all the zeros, you can just keep it exactly like it looks in the chart. 252.8 is my value. You'll have to use yours for your code. So 252.8. The question is, what do we put in for X? Because normally that's a number of units, but in this case, we don't have units. So all we're going to put in is 100%. This will represent a percentage. That means that's the max amount of revenue we have for our business. And these are really, really, really big values. So you're going to have to zoom out a lot to be able to see that point. So now we have our 2 points here for our total revenue. If you want to connect those points to make a line, you will have to click on the green background here. This is where you can change the color of the points to anything you'd like and turn on the lines. You can also change that line to dotted or dashed if you would like to. So I'm going to put this in blue and make that my total revenue line. Then we're going to go on to total cost. So I'm going to insert another note, drag it down below the first table, and I'm going to do the exact same steps for total cost, because to make any line, you only need 2 points. So for cost, we don't start at 0, 0. At 0% of your total sales, you'd still have to pay the fixed costs and things for rent. So even if you sell nothing, no units, you'd still have to pay all those fixed amounts, like rent as an example. So in my government industry statistics, all of those things like rent that we have to pay no matter what, those are called our indirect expenses. So for me, the operating or indirect expenses are 125.8. You'll have to use your own value, but that's the starting point. At 0%, you're still paying that amount. Then at 100%, you would be paying, if I go back here, the direct expenses, these are your variable costs, plus the operating expenses, which are your fixed costs. So it'll be this, the direct expenses, plus this, the indirect expenses. When I add those together, it should be 238.4. So here's my total cost, and to make this a line, again, to make a line, you only need to connect 2 points. So this is why I'm doing this approach for the totals, because I don't have a individual unit variable cost and an individual unit selling price to make the whole equation of the line. I'm just going to add 2 points and connect the 2 points. That makes my line. And I'll put this one, it is costs, which are typically like a bad thing. So you could put them in red. And if you wanted to match that, you could put the revenues in green. If you wanted to kind of match that green for making money, red for losing money. Then the break-even point is where the 2 lines cross. If you want to add in your break-even point, again, I can make another note, break even. You could start by just typing in any point with the X and Y coordinates, like 0, 0. See, it will appear where I put it, 0, 0. What we want to do to change for this point is if I click on the color for my point. So click here. I want to be able to drag it around. So I'm going to turn on that option for drag, And then I'm going to move it as close as I possibly can to the break-even point. For this, you might have to zoom in and drag your view around so that you can make it as precise as possible. Because when I'm really zoomed out, I missed the actual point of intersection where the two lines meet. So I'm trying to make this as precise as possible. So I'm going to put it right on top of where the two lines meet, turn on a label, and call it break even point. There we go. So now we have our total revenue, our total cost, and our labeled break even point. This should match the calculation that you got for the break even point in dollars, as well as for the percentage. If it does not match, double check your work for question 1 to make sure that that's correct. The final thing we need to do to make this really, really clear is change some of the labels on this break-even chart that we've created. How you do that is by pressing this little wrench icon for the graph settings. I'm going to add an x-axis label. So on the x-axis, we have the volume of the output as a percent because we have no units. And for the y-axis, we have the sales dollars as well as the cost dollars, but these are in thousands, not just in regular values or in hundreds, they are in thousands. So that's going to give you those labeled axes. So now we have our labeled y and labeled x axis, y and x as well. If you want to get a better possible view of this, click the little zoom fit button represented by the magnifying glass here, and it will give you a better picture so you can clearly see your labels, clearly see where the lines cross each other as well as both lines. Finally, I am going to rename this graph. So it's currently called Untitled Graph. You can title it by saving it. So I'm going to call it Break Even Analysis. This is applied activity number 4. And I can save it to my account. If you don't have an account, you can create an account through Desmos for free just so that you can actually save it and access it later so you do not lose your work. If you do not want to create an account, how you share it with me is you click this button right here, Share Graph, and then literally press Copy. After you've copied it, I'll need you to go back to Applied Activity 4 on Moodle and just paste that link into the text response box for question 2. That's what you need to provide me as your response for the second question that will be graded out of 8 marks. Please make sure that you've got your tables, your lines, your break-even point, and your labels. That's how you'll be graded for a total of 8. And also, please make sure you use the values for your industry code. Your revenues, your variable costs, and your total fixed costs will be different than the ones used in this example because I was using the values for my industry code. If you're having any issues with Desmos or you have any questions, please just make sure you contact your professor. I'll be happy to help. Thank you for watching this video.